Hello friends, today we are going to study about for loop in Python. We know that there are many types of loops, for loop, while loop, and there are similar other loops in different programming languages. But here we shall concentrate on for loop. In this lesson, we shall study about for loop. For loop. For loop we shall study. The question is, what is for loop? What are its different syntax? We shall study one by one. So let us come back to our shell. This is the Python shell. I am writing the for loop. For I in range 1, 10, colon, print I. Now let us study the syntax. For I in range 1, 10. Here the value of I, what is I? I is the loop control variable. Range 1, 10. That means what is 1? 1 is the initial value of the for loop. 10 is the final value of the for loop. And print I is the body of the for loop. So let us study its syntax. For I in range 1, 10, that means the value of I commences from 1 and terminates at 9. We have to remember this very carefully. This is 10. That means the upper limit is 10. It means the loop will execute till less than 10. That means we will get output from 1 to 9. Let us see the output first. You see, we are getting the output 1 to 9. That means this loop has executed from 1 to 9. We have to be careful about this thing. So syntax is, first we have to give the for. We have to follow it by the control variable. In this case, I have taken I. Then in range, till the value of I is in range 1 to 9, it will work. The loop will work. Once it crosses this range, it will stop working. Now what happens if I give for I in range? Suppose only 10 I have given. I have omitted here the initial value. Now see what happens. Enter. Now you see what we are getting? We are getting value from 0 to 9. So if the initial value is omitted, then the default value will be 0. So default initial value is 0. So if we omit the initial value, the default initial value shall be taken as 0. So loop is commencing from 0 to starting, a loop is commencing from 0 and it terminating at 9. So what we have understood, that the default initial value of I is 0. So in case we have omitted the initial value, it will take 0. Now let us see another syntax. For I in range 1, 10, 2. Now I am using another thing which is known as step value. All right, step value. What I am giving? I have given step value 2. This is the step value. So if we mention the step value, default step value is 1. See, earlier I didn't mention the step value. So what was happening? The variables, the numbers were being displayed one after the another. But what I have done here, I have given a step value of 2. So you see, the number is the outcome which we are getting is an alternative number, 1 followed by 3 followed by 5 and so and so. So this is one of the use of the for loop. So what is the syntax? For, then give the loop control variable, then in, then range, and give the initial value, the final value, and the step value, and then the body of the loop. Now you see, this loop which we have used here is an increment loop. There is another type of loop which is known as decrement loop. Now see this. Now see this example. For I in, wait, I shall close this shell and reopen a new shell so that things are visible. So for I in range 10, 0, -1. Now you see, I am using a decrement loop. Decrement loop means loop which gradually decreases, a loop which decreases after every iteration. Initial value is 10. In decrement loop, the initial value is greater than the final value. So initial value is 10, the final value is 0. And -1 is the counter. Counter is a decrement counter. See what happens. We are getting value from 10 to 1. So this is decrement loop. Depending on our requirement, we can have increment loop or decrement loop. All right. In decrement loop, the counter is compulsory, whereas it was optional in the increment loop. In decrement loop, it is necessary. All right. Now there is one more syntax of for loop, which I shall explain. For example, see this one: for I in sequence. Now I have to mention a sequence here. We know that we can take sequence of list, string, or tuple here. So let me take string. Hello, I am giving. So print I. So what we are printing? We are printing the value of I in hello. See what happens. See the result. HELLO. For I in hello. This is a sequence. All right. This is a sequence. So what is happening? We are printing H. First the value of H comes in A, then the value of E comes in A, then the value of H comes in A. So what happened? One after the another, the value of this string will enter I and it gets printed. All right. So we are getting this hello. This is an example of sequence. All right. This is an example of sequence. So let me once more open this shell, and the other two sequence I will show there. The sequence where the for loop works on a list. Same thing, you see, for I in range. So not range. For I in, I'm giving a list here. Suppose 1, 4, 6, so this is the list. And here is the body of the loop, print I. See, 1, 4, 5, 6. That means for each value present in the list, the loop is iterating. So loop is iterating for each value which is present in the loop. All right. We can do so in other way also. For example, let me just copy it and paste it so it will save us some time. So what I'm doing, I'm pasting here, and instead of list, what I'm taking a tuple. All right. So I have taken a tuple. So this will help us. This will help us to get another output similar to the previous one. All right. So what we found that there are two syntax of for loop. One in which we use the range, and in other in which we use the sequence. Both the syntax are popular. Depending on a requirement, we can choose our syntax. All right. Then there's the concept of nested loop, but in this lesson, I'm restricting ourselves to this single loop. In next lesson, we shall study about the nested loop. Thank you. If you have find this video interesting, you can subscribe to your channel. Thanks to everyone.